and welcome to our business building series. I'm joined by our lovely guest today, Megan Taylor, who is an accountant, and we're going to hear about her story from working for others to transitioning into being a business owner and becoming an entrepreneur. Now, Megan, on your Instagram page, I know that a couple of fun facts that you like to share with people on Fridays is that you love numbers, you are passionate about small business, and that you love to have a good cappuccino.
I do.
Great. So we're sans cappuccino today, but we're going to have a great chat anyway.
Well, look, I generally start my day off with a cappuccino. I feel like it boosts my brain in the morning. So that's my routine. I go to the gym first and then I head down, make my way towards my office via the coffee shop. So that's my morning routine to get myself going for the day.
There are research studies that suggest caffeine is a good little sort of a booster to the brain. So, it's good to have morning routine as well as that time management and that schedule, especially as entrepreneurs. So we might learn a little bit more about your schedule for the rest of your day once you've got your coffee fix.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Yes.
So would you mind telling everybody who's watching, which is predominantly our graduates who are transitioning from their actual studies into launching their own businesses, or in some cases expanding the services within their businesses and putting their entrepreneurial cap on for the very first time and stepping into that daunting world of becoming a business owner? We'd love to hear what's got you to this point.
Sure. Well, I have been an accountant for 16 years now, which is quite a long time now that I say that out loud. I have worked in a couple of firms here in Toowoomba, and a couple of them had been with them long term. Loved working there, loved building good relationships with clients, and I'd learnt a lot through working with those firms. It ultimately got to the point where I felt like there were more opportunities to be able to help clients, but felt like working in another firm and trying to fit into someone else's idea of how they wanted to service clients sort of no longer suited me. And so I felt like I could reach out into newer areas to give clients a newer experience in terms of accounting and bookkeeping and managing those aspects of their business. And so that's how I ultimately ended up branching out into my own business, which is called Fresh Focus Accounting. And so I've been running that now for over a year. It was our first birthday at the start of August this year.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It sort of happened quietly, really, in the midst of COVID and everything else that was happening then. So, yeah, we kind of quietly turned one.
So, isn't it interesting? You started a business a few months, like maybe 7-8 months before the world went upside down in some respects, and a lot of businesses had to adapt or close. How did that impact you in your first year of business, finally going out on your own, becoming an entrepreneur, and then this happens?
Yeah, it was actually a really big challenge for me because in my business, I don't have any employees, it's just me. And so having a large portion of my client base all of a sudden saying, I really need your help to work through this right now, where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of people trying to, I guess, plan for the worst but hope for the best. But it was really a lot of tough conversations, a lot of emotional conversations, a lot of tough decisions that were to be made. So for myself personally, it was a really good test of my resilience, I guess, at the end of the day, and a good test of my emotional intelligence. So it really just required a calm and concise and very clear approach to be able to dealing with clients. So it was certainly a challenge, Vicky, that I would not have expected in my first year of being in business.
Yeah, because you'd have to, having clients in business suddenly be faced with their own financial uncertainty and reaching out to you, needing your help to help navigate that. And perhaps you also having your own feelings about business uncertainty. How was that for you to navigate?
Look, I was actually more worried about my clients than myself. And so ultimately in the back of my mind, there was a little voice saying, well, if if your small business clients are struggling, ultimately you will end up struggling. But really, I seemed to go into focus on client mode, and that was it. Sort of anything in terms of business development took a back seat. Anything in terms of what I needed to do for myself took a back seat. So it was really just focusing on everyone else. And then, when I was able to take a breath and refocus, I needed to actually take some time to think, okay, well, I've spent so many months now looking after everyone else. It's now time to look after myself and my business. And so actually I came through it pretty well, Vicky. Like, it was scary, but I learned a lot out of it. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, and adaptability was certainly a key skill during that time.
One thing I really liked that I was seeing over the few months where it was really scary in a lot of ways for a lot of our local businesses is you were posting on Instagram, doing live videos with so much education and the latest information that you could get your hands on from government about how that was going to impact businesses. And I thought, what a brilliant way to help people who really may not have access to the information or are just so overwhelmed with the stress and the worry of it all, that having that service, because it was a service, you were doing quite a few of them. I thought that was such a brilliant way to really help people who are struggling and perhaps inadvertently gather some new followers who may have ended up becoming clients.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the idea behind that was to be able to give small business owners the information in a way that made sense to them. I found that a lot of the material that was coming out in written form was really technical. And so I would imagine that for the everyday mum and dad type business, that it would have been really convoluted for people to interpret that and to determine what was in it for them. And so I really wanted to do the videos in particular, just to try and explain everything in plain English and make it easy to understand and relate it back to the everyday business owner. And so through that, I actually got a lot of new client contact and ended up taking on some newer clients who felt like they weren't being supported by their current advisor. So it was lovely to be able to have people reach out following on from that, and to be able to help more people than what I had anticipated being able to help. Yeah, it was great.
Wonderful. It's so needed because you love numbers, but not everybody does. And especially in business, looking at the numbers is scary.
Yeah, that's right.
Get someone else to do it. And what have you noticed with a lot of your business owners, especially those maybe solo entrepreneurs, in their relationship with the numbers?
Look, a lot of them are still scared of the numbers, Vicky, and I guess from my perspective, that's where I come in, because I can help them with the numbers, but also explain to them what the numbers actually mean, because sometimes that's just it. You know, someone might be able to sit down and do their bookkeeping, but they might just think, okay, well, I just need to do my bookkeeping so that I can do my business activity statement every quarter, or so that my accountant can get into my figures and do my tax return at the end of the year. But actually, the numbers tell a greater story, and it's important for business owners to understand what's happening in their business, not just operationally, but also from a financial perspective. So that's where those numbers are really, really important. Mm-hmm. And if you're regularly looking at them, it just means that if there's any issues, then we can identify those ones earlier. So, you know, for new business owners, it's important to establish a good relationship with your accountant so that you're both monitoring those numbers, particularly in the initial stages of startup.
And that would be easier with virtual accounting, because I know that's a point of difference for you. Well,
yeah.
What made you want to go cloud-based virtual accounting?
Well, there's a lot of cloud-based solutions. So obviously you've got your Xeros and QuickBooks Online and those sorts of internet-based accounting software programs that basically you get your accounting information in real time. And so it's far more productive and efficient for me to be able to work with clients based on real-time data, because then I know exactly what's happening in their business at that particular time. Sometimes where you do a lot of manual data entry, you might be a month behind. And so the opportunities to identify any issues in your business have a greater lag time. And so it's really just being cloud-based, we get to embrace the technology that's available to us and use it in the most positive way.
Fantastic. And it doesn't matter where people are, because then they can work with you regardless of their
That's
location.
right. Yeah, that's right. So I've got clients not just here in Toowoomba, but down in Brisbane, starting to get some growth down in Brisbane, which is fantastic, and also on the Sunshine Coast. I've been able to get some growth happening there as well. So yeah, certainly not confined to geographical location when you're essentially an internet-based business.
Was that sort of a deliberate decision, apart from the benefits of that real-time evaluation of what's happening in someone's business? Was that a consideration into branching out on your own to be a location?
Yeah, it really actually was, because the accounting industry itself is quite stale, and accountants traditionally don't like change. And so given that I'm trying to offer a different service, I felt like I could make that available not just here in Toowoomba, but across the board in Southeast Queensland and beyond, based on the platforms that I had available to me. So yeah, it was certainly a consideration that I wouldn't just be confined to dealing with clients here in Toowoomba. Yeah, and it's working out great. Like it's been wonderful. Yeah,
that's fantastic. What we see, what we provide, we have 4 quite comprehensive holistic business and marketing modules to really take our graduates or our students prior to graduation through that foundational process of setting up a business, where they actually create a business marketing plan. And it's a modern business plan. They have a template for a workshop, a 12-week program outline. They've done a little bit of market research to look at their pricing and their packages, how other people are presenting themselves, and what feels right for them entering the market with their own set of pricing, etc. But we also include a cash flow template for them that it allows them to have just a very simplistic overview of any startup expenses and ongoing expenses for running their business, as well as the forecast of their income depending on the services that they offer, whether it's programs, packages, workshops, retreats, etc. And how many clients they would need at their price point for, to make the kind of money that they'd like to see that growth in the first few months. Aside from that, what do you think or recommend is essential in starting from scratch in business to know your numbers?
The biggest conversations that I have, or the most common conversations that I have with startup businesses, always center around pricing, Vicky. So, it's great that you have that pricing module within those templates that you've got available there, because 9 times out of 10, I will get the question, how much should I charge for my product or service? And then, it's sort of pointing people in the right direction. So like you say, it's understanding what it costs you to deliver that product or service. And then also, knowing how many products or services you have to sell to be able to generate the kind of income that you need to be able to meet your day-to-day living expenses, as an example. So understanding your pricing is really, really crucial. And it's the one thing that I talk to clients about so much. And a big part of that is getting clients to value what they do. And they might think, but I'm really, really expensive in the market. It's like, well, actually, are you? Like, have you done the research to determine whether you have or not? So, yeah, being able to value what you do is really important as well.
Thank you. I'm so pleased that you said that, because that does come up quite a lot as the students are progressing in that second half of their diploma and advanced diploma courses.
Yeah.
It's that idea of, what should I charge?
Yep.
Am I able to charge that? Do I know enough in order to charge that? Will people pay that? And the conversation sometimes turns to charging what you're worth. And I
Yeah.
really don't like that. I don't like that particular phrase, charging what you're worth, because I'm a big believer that your worth as a person has absolutely nothing to do with what you charge in your services.
Yes.
You're already worthy and enough within your own self, regardless of how much you charge. I think it's more important to look at the value of the service that you provide, or the value of the solution that you are delivering in the content, the education, the resources as you take your client through that experience. For us, for our coaches and practitioners, they're taking them through an experience, educating them, sharing exercises, tools, and really helping to create internal shifts.
That's
So
right.
I always say to them, look at the value of what you are providing, the value of this service. So it's really removed from your own personal value and charging what you're worth, but really looking
Yeah.
at the worth that is valuable to your client, and what they're going to get out of it, to see if
That's
they
right.
think it's valuable.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And your students will possess knowledge that, people, just everyday people, just won't have. And so, that's certainly worth something to probably a lot of people. I have a lot of clients that are beautiful creatives, and they have all these wonderful handmade products. And they'll say to me, I feel like I want to charge this, but I feel like that's expensive. And I just say, okay, I can't do what you do. So I'm happy to pay you for that product because I cannot make it myself, and it's unique. And you possess a skill set and knowledge that I, as an individual, don't have. So I'm happy to pay you for that. So yeah, it's certainly perception from the other side that, yeah, what you're providing is actually valuable to that one individual because that's what they need at that time. So yeah, that's a massive thing. It will always be an ongoing battle is the valuing what you do. So but yeah, it's important to value what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Now, I'd really like to know, despite COVID, what kind of, when you look back over the last year, or the last nearly a year and a half since you started your entrepreneurship with your own business in accounting, even though you've been doing it for 16 years, well done for you. When you look back now, what do you see were lessons that you needed to learn in order to grow that perhaps you didn't consider as an entrepreneur or business owner when you started?
Vicky, I wish someone had said to me, it's okay to say no. I guess in the early stages of business, you just think, I need clients, I need to take on clients, I need to take on work, but not all people will be your ideal client.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to understand what my ideal target market was and what my ideal client was and is, so that in the instance that one comes along that isn't, I can actually say, no, sorry, I can't, I probably am not the right person for you, but I can refer you on to someone who would be. And the reason for that is that sometimes working with people that aren't your ideal clients can sap you of your energy and your passion for doing what you do. And also too, if the relationship, it can cause the relationship to go south. And so the last thing that you want is for someone that you don't gel with, who doesn't necessarily fit into your ideal client. You may not be their ideal advisor. You don't want them then giving on some bad feedback because the relationship has gone south. So I think sometimes to maintain your passion for what you do, you've just got to say no to the people that would tap it out of you. And that was not something that anyone had ever told me before I went out in business on my own.
That you're allowed to say no. Yeah, because as a
Yeah,
business owner, you have the opportunity to actually decide who you work with and when. But it's very hard for new entrepreneurs and new business owners who are trying to get their business up and running to not feel like they need to have that client, even though they might already recognize not quite my target ideal client there, and
yeah,
sort of compromise their own values and take them on anyway for that need for money.
yeah, yeah.
What's your kind of, would you have any friendly advice? Did you have to learn that the hard way for yourself?
Yeah, I ended up taking on one client that was referred to me in the very early stages that I just, after some interactions, I just knew that we weren't going to gel. And so I ended up disengaging with that client and just saying, look, you know, I'm happy to finish off this particular project for you, but I think after that, maybe we might just refer you on to a new advisor. And I just sort of gave him some reasons why. And he was actually fine with that. And I then thought, you know what, actually, I'm okay with that too, because that frees me up with some capacity to be able to take on clients that I love working with. And so, you know, yes, it's, you sort of feel a bit panicked because you're missing out on the revenue there, but amazingly, you know, when you've got the capacity to take on more of the work that you love doing, it comes eventually. And that's because, for me, it's been because I've been working with clients that I love working with, and they've loved working with me in return, and that has spread by word of mouth. And so, you know, they're now telling their friends and other business owners, you know, go and work with Megan, she's been great. So, you know, you don't want to say to someone who's your ideal client, no, I can't work with you right now because I'm at capacity, especially when that capacity has been taken up by someone who you don't love working with. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely frees up space to actually accept those people who you definitely know you can help, who can actually have that benefit and that positive experience with you, over someone who you're struggling to help for whatever reason, who may end up having a lackluster experience with you and then telling others about that.
That's right. Yeah.
Word of mouth is so important, particularly in small towns as well.
Yeah, word of mouth and relationships. I found, you know, there's a lot of value in building relationships, not just with clients, but with people within professional networks and things like that. So, you know, the professional networks come in very, very valuable, especially when we all of a sudden find ourselves in territory where I'm no longer able to help the client with that particular issue, but I don't leave them in the lurch. I can refer them on to someone that can. So, yes, relationships are so important in business, especially in a smaller town like Toowoomba.
Yeah. I imagine for some people trying to do live video on Instagram, a lot of our students are very adverse to doing that because, no, it's too scary, putting myself out there, being vulnerable. It's similar when you're trying to build a business and build those relationships and that capacity for referral if something's outside of your scope of practice, which, of course, for our coaches and practitioners, there's going to be situations moving into a little bit more psychological intervention territory where they need to refer. So we really encourage them to build those relationships. But, of course, it's scary. So what's your experience of actually putting yourself out there and building those relationships? What have you had to sort of overcome personally in doing so?
I think you have to overcome people saying no to you. So not everyone will get your vibe, I guess, and will want to work with you in the same way that you want to work with your clients. So I think you just have to be open to having the word no said to you in same thing as being able to say no. You know, you'll get the same word in flung at you every now and again, and that's okay. It just means that, okay, that relationship is not for you at this point in time. It might actually be something that you can build on going forward, but right now it's not something that works for you. So I think you've got to be able to try different avenues and think outside of the square a little bit. One thing I'm really open to is having people, so I get a lot of random messages through Instagram and Facebook and things like that, just with people saying, hey, can we just catch up for a coffee? Or I like the look of your website. Maybe we might be able to collaborate on something together. Would you like to have a chat over Zoom for 30 minutes? So I tend not to say no to those things, provided, you know, I do my research first and make sure that they are genuine people. But I sort of don't say no to those sorts of things because I'm quite open to having a chat. And if there's nothing that we can do together, that's fine. I've met a new connection that I can add to my network, and just, you know, maybe still keep in touch with that person in case there is an opportunity that comes up for both of us down the track. So, yeah, certainly being open-minded is a positive as well.
Mm. With your business, you said earlier that it's predominantly you. And I remember in the first few years of running my private practice and then teaching and then taking it online and expanding, there came a point where I realized I couldn't do everything anymore.
Mm.
Are you at that point yet? Have you started thinking about that? And what have you discovered about the next steps in expansion to get yourself the help you need?
Yeah, so because of the extra clients that have come on board this year, I'm probably at the point where I'm at capacity now, and so I'll be looking to take on or delegate some tasks elsewhere. So at this point in time, I'm considering taking on a virtual administrator. And that just means that I can delegate some project type work, some practice level project type work, not specifically relating to clients, to someone else. The cost of a virtual administrator is about $50 an hour, but then my charge out rate and what I'm able to charge to clients is certainly will certainly cover that, a few times over. So I find that if I'm freed up to spend more time with clients, that time will certainly cover the cost of having a virtual administrator working in the background and getting these projects done. Whereas if it's all myself, it drags out the project too long. So that's where I'm at the moment. I probably in the next 12 months will probably look to get some more space and bring in a bookkeeper. So it's sort of more the lower level tasks, to be honest with you, Vicky, that I would be looking to get people in or find someone that I can delegate those tasks to going forward. Yeah.
Does that scare you as a business owner, thinking, oh, I'm going to have to take that next step and actually pay someone to help me because I'm
Yeah,
really busy
yeah.
now?
Yeah, and it's an investment of time as well, because there's certainly a bit of handover type work to be done and some training to be done. And I'm really scared that I'm not going to find someone who loves my business as much as I do. I love my business and I love what I do with my clients, and I just would love to have someone who shares that same enthusiasm and shares I guess is really like-minded at the end of the day. It's certainly a big step to get someone else involved in your passion project. Yeah.
It's almost like attracting your target client, but you're trying to attract, someone that can gel with you and work with you for the long term, that can really approach your client work or the work itself with as much enthusiasm as you have. And that's not always easy.
No, it's not. And because I value my relationship so much, I wouldn't want my clients or my networks to be exposed to someone who didn't show them the same respect or integrity as what I show them. So, it's certainly a matter of, I guess, not necessarily letting go of control, but just being open to having someone else involved. And I hope that they sort of are an open book, really, at the end of the day. I just would really love someone like-minded, I guess.
Yeah, someone who aligns with your values and your integrity.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
What do you think now, looking back, has been the biggest benefit to taking that leap, seeing that gap in the market in the accountancy world, and actually stepping up and taking the leap into your own business? What's it allowed you to do now, or to experience that you weren't getting from working from someone else?
Yeah, I've been able to offer clients a new experience that they otherwise haven't been exposed to, particularly here in Toowoomba. When you talk to people about what they think about accountants, the cliche description is how boring and, how dry we are. But, I like to say to people, I'm not your stereotypical accountant, because I'm not. Like, I'd love to have a good chat over a coffee, and, it's not all boring type stuff, but I'm really passionate about small business. And so sometimes too, it's the experience, but it's giving clients empathy, and it's having some flexibility over how I deliver my service to clients and not trying to fit into someone else's ideals. That's been the biggest benefit. And it got to the point in my career where, having worked for other people, I started to lose my passion a bit for what I was doing, because of the way it was being done or because of the way I was expected to do it. But having gone out on my own, it's really reignited that. And, I love doing what I do. I love coming to work every day now. So it's certainly different.
It reaffirms that it's so important to two things: do what you love, but find a way to do what you love that really aligns to your own sense of purpose and passion, so that you've got this beautiful alignment and freedom to be able to work with people in the way that you want to work with them.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. And sometimes too, when the delivery is not within your control, you can feel a little bit boxed in, and that's sort of what I was feeling. And I just thought, you know what, I feel like there's another way to do this. So it was really a no-brainer for me to step out on my own and try something different at the end of the day.
And it's paid off for you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's certainly been hard work, Vicky. And, there's certainly been ups and downs, but I think that's small business in general. Like, it's not always going to go your way all the time. The good times are fantastic. And the bad times, test your why, and, test why you're doing this, and make sure that you're sticking to your path, really. But the bad times don't last forever either. So it's certainly been a roller coaster journey, but very worthwhile.
Two things that you just brought up there. One about comparison and knowing your why.
Yeah.
What did you do to really tune into your why in the first place and hold on to that during those really difficult times?
Yeah, so I, at the outset of my business, I sat down and did a fair bit of business planning, like your students will be doing. And I did a business plan that helped me really define why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so I have my business plan here in my office, very handy to where I sit. And I actually go back and look at it regularly, because that's the black and white reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, it might be that you may not be having the best day, but all of a sudden you'll get an outcome for a client or for your business that makes you think, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, it's not just it's the black and white reminder, but also it's like the universe is giving you a reminder as well of why you're doing what you're doing. So it's easy to remember why sometimes as well.
Yeah, definitely having it visual so you can refer to it and have that visual reminder so that you can stay true to your own path and focus on where you're going, which is, leads to the other thing that we see a lot with the students is comparing themselves to the beautiful websites and the pretty Instagram pictures that sometimes can be very far from reality of how successful a business is because of how it appears to be.
Yeah.
So has that been a problem for you, comparisonitis, worrying about how many accountants there are in Toowoomba and you being different or not being able to compete?
Not really. I sort of haven't had any comparison anxiety like that. There's certainly a saturated market with accountants here in Toowoomba, but I just feel like I've got my own style, and so clients will either love it or they won't, and the ones that won't, that's okay. They're certainly not short for choice. It's not like we have to work with each other either. So I don't tend to get into comparison type things because I'm in a small firm. I do things my own way. A lot of other firms here in town have been up and running for a while. So, I've probably been lucky enough that I sort of haven't fallen into that trap of comparing myself to others. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I set out to be different, Vicky. So, I'm that's my point of difference anyway. so I'm okay with being different.
I'm so glad you said that, because we see that with the students a lot, is that they're worried about what other people are doing. But my answer to that, or my suggestion to that, or my perspective to that is always, there might be a lot of accountants out there in your industry. There might be a hell of a lot of coaches out there, which there are in the coaching industry, but not all of them are trained correctly. Not all of them are approachable or seem to resonate with the average everyday person. And they're not, it doesn't mean that they're going to be the great coach because they've got a beautiful website. So I'm always encouraging the students, it's nice to see what's out there. Do your research. Know what others are doing and what they're offering, but always stay focused and true to yourself and what you're offering and why.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Identify who is your target client so that you know the people that you can help, that you love working with, the challenges and the experiences that they'd likely be experiencing when they come to you, and know your solution so that you know how to deliver it. And after a while, it's about, yes, there's a method and there's a protocol, and we want to make sure we take clients through the motions, but also it's about finding your own rhythm and flow. And finding your own unique way of doing things, because that is what is going to make people resonate with you. It's like the power story.
Yeah, and I really like what you said there about being true to yourself. I think authenticity is such a crucial thing to clients and customers can sense whether you're being authentic with them or not. And it's amazing how they can do that, but they certainly can. And so, you might have a pretty website, but that website doesn't necessarily tell your clients or your customers anything about yourself as a person or as an individual. It doesn't necessarily tell them about your empathy or, your ability to listen and understand. So, I think, I really like what you said about being true to yourself.
We like to keep it real here.
That's it. That's the main thing.
This has been a fantastic conversation, Megan. I'm just so grateful for your genuineness and your own authenticity in sharing your experience. What I'd like to finish on is advice that you would give other new entrepreneurs to help them keep the dream alive when times get tough.
Yeah, I always say to new business owners, don't be afraid to try the unknown. I've certainly tried things and failed, and that's okay because, I'd regret not trying. And also, I guess at the end of the day too, you might try something and it might be hugely successful, but you might try something fail, but at least you've learnt something from that. And your entrepreneurial journey will always be one that you're forever learning in. The lessons will never stop.
Ongoing.
Yeah, always, every day.
Which I think is just part of our overall growth on our own individual, experiences in life and where we want to go and where we can take it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And mine, certainly, I've learnt lots of new things in the last year, Vicky. So it's been quite the journey, but very, very worthwhile in terms of personal and professional growth. It's been brilliant.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can you please tell us, Megan, how can people actually learn more about you and what you do so that they can connect with you if they'd like to?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I have a website, www.ffocus.com.au, and I'm also on Instagram, fresh_focus_accounting. So trying to post some cool things on Instagram every now and again. And there's a blog on my website too where I'm trying to keep that one up to date. And hopefully I'll put a blog post up soon about my next Startup Diary installment. So those are the two ones that I'm active on at this stage.
Wonderful. Go and check Megan out, guys, because you'll probably learn so many really insightful tips that might help you on your own entrepreneurial journey. Megan, thank you so much. It has been a really lovely conversation to catch up and hear what you have been doing over the last year and a half in business. And it's so supportive of those who are in that very beginning stage of starting up a business and all of the fears and the self-doubt and the challenges that arise and ultimately will along that entrepreneurial pathway.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say to your students, Vicky, to, don't be afraid to reach out to each other and support each other because being in business can be a little bit lonely sometimes. And so having someone there who's got your back and having someone there that you can just ask questions of is really, really valuable. So please do reach out to each other and support each other.
Yeah, it's about community, isn't it? Community with like-minded entrepreneurs and practitioners,
Absolutely.
which is, yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Megan. So everyone, Megan
Thanks.
Taylor, Fresh Focus Accounting, go check her out. We hope that this interview in our business building series has been super helpful for you and has made that next step forward in your own business journey that much easier for you. Thank you, everyone. Take care and see you next time.
Bye.